Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my show Rocket Monday. In today's episode we're going to take a closer look at is NASA stupid? So let's dive right into it to understand it. Now before you qualify it as either smart or stupid, you must understand why it is. So the core reason why NASA even exists is basically because of Soviet Union, and you have to understand this. If there are two superpower and one ends up in a place where they have absolute superiority, the other one will do everything in its power to achieve that same status. So this was a war response that was created in 1958. So NASA was created in 1958, and JF Kennedy has multiple speeches. There is first speech that he gave to Congress to why he needs to do that. Then the second image, which is shot in color, was for basically this was addressed to public, and the first one was addressed to Congress. I have provided the links to both of them. Please watch whole of it, because if people you only see the snippets of it and they think like, you know, he was an explorer, he wanted to go where no man has gone before. But if you watch the full, basically what the address was, you will understand that like he was saying we had to fight against tyranny, not like, you know, we have to go there like no one has gone before. There was more of a threat, like if they did it they will control it. So it was like we had to do it, we had to do it for freedom. So watch that and that will give you a context of this. So, and there is another aspect of it, why the heck they were racing in space even though they both had nuclear weapons, is like they wanted to avoid using nuclear weapon. Both of them wanted to avoid using nuclear weapon, because once America actually dropped nuclear weapon on Hiroshima or Nagasaki, which were very small nuclear weapons, you have to understand they were barely 30 kiloton of power, and the biggest bomb we tested, that was 50 megaton tested by Soviet Union, and it was meant for 100 megaton. They didn't want to test it at its full strength. It is bomb that was built for 100 megatons, so they disabled certain aspect, basically certain layers of it, to make sure it only detonates to 50 megaton, and the yield was surprisingly high. Like if that is detonated in any country, it will damage a whole state. It won't damage a county or things like, let's say it happens in Mumbai, you will reduce 200 million people from India. If it happens in New York, there won't be a New York. Now again, these things are mathematical, but once we actually dropped nuclear weapons on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, once people saw, okay, this is a nuclear weapon, this is not mathematics, this is not okay on a map we're gonna draw circles about the blast radius. Once we actually saw that, people were scared, and both sides. It was not like, you know, okay, they are scared or I am not scared. Everybody was scared. That's why you will hear the term MAD, mutually assured destruction. So everybody wanted to avoid it. Russia wanted to avoid it, Soviet Union wanted to avoid it, America wanted to avoid it, China wanted to avoid it. Everybody wanted to avoid it, because once we actually dropped bombs on a civilian population, it took time to digest what happened. Like this event is on a different level, we can't quantify it. And so space became the next frontier where we can go there without blowing each other up. So everybody was like, okay, let's go there. And Yuri Gagarin became the first basically Soviet Union basically cosmonaut to reach into space, first man in space. Now this turbocharged everything. So NASA's biggest moment of glory came in Apollo 11, the mission name, and on a date of July 20, 1969. This is the biggest event ever in humanity. Now you might be like, okay, why people classify as that? First, half of the people have hard time understanding that this actually happened. Understand that this was such a mind-bogglingly awesome thing that people are still having hard time. Oh no, we never went to the moon. No, we went. That to just give you a scale of basically idea, to give like how difficult this was. This rocket is not a baby rocket. This is like a freaking Statue of Liberty going to space. Literally, this is taller than a Statue of Liberty. So understand that. And when it was fired, it was so powerful that it caused a seismic scale everywhere on the planet to go. A minor earthquake it caused. Now the earthquake was not strong enough that it will shake buildings, but basically earthquake center around the planet could detect it. Like they were that powerful. The 5 million pounds of thrust on a single point, that's something serious. So when a person puts a foot on the moon, it changed humanity permanently and for the good, because now space is in our grasp, basically in our grasp. It's something that opens entire humanity's mind. Basically, oh, we have something, we can do something. It's not like, okay, there are places in universe where we cannot go. Now those places are within our reach. So this is the single greatest event in humanity. So NASA, like this is the NASA's greatest success, this event, and this exact date, July 20, 1969. So what happened after that? How the heck NASA going from the greatest to stupidest? Now this happened because of the fall. Now what did fall? Fall of the Soviet Union. Because if you are in any competitive business, you know you must have a competitor, otherwise your products will start to become, well, BS. And it happened to NASA also, because when NASA was competing, like absolutely competing, like pedal to the floor, basically going at full speed, they were doing good things. But once Soviet Union get backed out of the race and it was dissolved, Russia wasn't a big enough threat. So they were like, okay, let's calm down. And during this time, you like people like, let's cut the spending on NASA budget and all that. So first, your opponent went out of the camp, so you already de facto became the winner. On top of that, there was no goal. Now this is the single biggest issue with NASA. Everything else in NASA is very smart. Every person working in NASA is top of the line. Basically, they're the best of the best of the best. There is no denying it. However, for some reason, from after basically fall of Soviet Union, they do not have even a single person that says, okay, this is NASA, this is what it's gonna do. There is not even a single goal. So NASA right now has basically two subcategory. One category is scientific missions, another is human exploration. For some reason, human exploration is getting ignored, because I have no idea why that happened. Because if humans go somewhere, you can turbocharge the entire nation. Like if I tell you, okay, there is a rover on Mars, who cares? If you tell that to a kid's not gonna be basically inspired by it. But if you show there is a man on Mars, now that's gonna turbocharge the entire humanity. Like yes, you can do more science with robot, but here's the deal: we are not robot. We want to see ourselves. Like we are not learning about universe, so robots can do something about it. We are learning about Mars, so we can go there someday, just for, let's say, vacation, just for lols, or maybe for scientific outpost. But that pushes humanity. Like if humans go there, it pulls entire humanity behind it. If robots go there, it's like, okay, now there is ice in Mars, okay, there is CO2 on Mars, okay, who cares? But man, if man puts foot on the Mars, that's a completely different ballgame. So for some reason, NASA forgot that. And their scientific division, the division that is responsible for making basically rovers and all that, they are doing basically awesome job. They have a mission, they have a budget, they get the job done, they are doing awesome work. For some reason, the human division, basically the space exploration division, they literally made stupid mistake after stupid mistake, and then politics happened. Now till this point, politics was very away from basically NASA, because even you can see the video that I am providing down below, when Kennedy was talking about like the first address Kennedy did to nation, basically through Congress, it's like, I want this kind of budget for basically putting the man to the moon. You can see people are like, we didn't want, like the senators and congressmen basically. So at that time, people didn't want, but because there was a threat, like our human tribalism, there was a threat other than us. They were like, okay, dude, I don't care like why you are doing this. As long as you can give us superiority over them, we'll let you have the money. So once that is gone, the politics made it into a tool. NASA became a tool. Like each administration was like, because people were kind of pissed off, they did not understand the importance of NASA. They were like, why you are spending money? So some president comes to, hey, what if we cut the spending? Then 2-3 presidents does the same thing. Then another president comes in, it's like, hey, what if we increase the spending? Then another president, like this whole politics made something awesome, something to from a national pride to national laughing stock. Like mistakes from basically Hubble to space shuttle, like these things were stupid. Like space shuttle should not have been built because of the politics it was built. So inherently the bad things started to happen once politics got mixed into it. Before that, it was a national thing. It was like, I don't care whether Democrat or Republican is in office, this is NASA, we get the job done. So this is their beginning of the fall. Now then, their height of stupidity happens when Obama in 2010 starts to basically target asteroid mining mission, basically asteroid mission in 2025. Now I have no idea who told him this, but like I really want to meet that person who's like, yeah, we can do asteroid mining. If you are familiar with NASA, you must be familiar with this logo, constellation logo. Basically this was the project after space shuttle was cancelled, that they wanted to do something. And during this time, I told you, politics is now very involved with NASA. So they're like, okay, give us some mission suggestions. Some suggested a mission go to for asteroid for some reason. Because here's the deal, if you really want to do human mission, you need two things. You need material and you need energy. Moon has both of them. Asteroid has nothing, and moon is at a fixed distance. We know where moon is, we know how, when it will be, where exactly it will be. So moon is awesome. Like if you go onto the moon, you have more than enough water, you have more than enough material to actually build things, you have more than enough solar energy that you can build a giant space station from the moon itself. But you go to asteroid, there is no purpose of that. There is no purpose. Like they said, like do it by 2025 and 2030, go to Mars. What will asteroid teach you? Nothing. Like flat out nothing. And if you landed on moon and if you're like, okay, let's build things on the moon, you will have a fuel depot there. Like you can build a rocket fueling station and you can train human for in low G environment, which you can't do on Earth, which you can't even do on basically space station, because space station is 0G, not low G. So if you want low G, you have to be on moon. So that idea was amazingly stupid. So they built it and then they cancelled the project as usual. On top of that, in 2019, basically Lunar Orbital Platform Gateway is basically now finalized. So it was under the work for some reason. So because you have to understand, International Space Station was a collaboration. Everybody came together and built it, but it's a very clumsy space station. Basically, it's the first of its kind. Basically, hundreds of countries, working together. Hundreds because the European Union have way too many countries in them. So countries working together and building something. It took a lot of basically, it's a first generation product, think of it that way. So it is better than Mir space station, but it is not amazing. Basically half of the time of astronaut is just there to make sure the International Space Station does not become a death trap. So it's not very good. Now if we build again, of course we will now have more knowledge, we can build it much more better, which much more basically resiliency. So they're like, okay, let's, and it's coming close to its retirement age. Basically after a while the amount of time astronaut have to spend repairing ISS will go so high that they won't have any other time. Basically you go there, you repair ISS as long as you are staying there and come home. So nobody wants to do that, and ISS is about to fall from sky. They can be reboosted for next 20 to 30 years, but it's done. Basically at this point we know for a fact that its lifespan has expired. We are keeping it on life support. However, we have to be like ready for somebody, some new space station. So this idea was proposed for some reason. Gateway. Now this is the most stupid, like this is the highest height they can ever reach. It's like we're gonna build a space station on moon. Here's the deal. Why? Now they sold it to public like, okay, we can go to the space station and then we can go to the moon. Why? We had the rockets that can go from Earth's surface to lunar surface directly in 1969. Why the heck do you need to do this? This is completely wasteful. Now you have to understand this. In space there is no slowing down. So let's say this is Earth, this is moon. You took off from Earth. Okay, your engines are working at full force, full power. You're going, and then you turn on your engine just before you hit moon and you land on it. Awesome. Now if you have this basically lunar space gateway, you have to do full engine burn, same what we call lunar injection, and you go to basically lunar orbit, then you match your speed, slow down so you don't end up smacking the freaking space station, and then you match speed. Now you have already burned the fuel, because to slow down to dock with it, and you might be like, okay, it's in orbit, but it's not, it won't be perfectly matched with your speed, so you have to slow down, and the space station does not have infinite fuel, and so you slow down, you already burned fuel. You stay there for some reason, then you come back again from the your rest position, you go down to surface, again firing engine just to accelerate yourself, then to de-accelerate yourself to land. There is a one whole stage where you have acceleration and deceleration for no reason. If it was in atmosphere it makes sense, but space does not have an atmosphere. It's mathematically bad idea. If you want to go to Mars and you have a crew program, either send them on moon for training purpose or send them directly. If you are sending them directly, benefit is your timeline will be shrunken. If you are sending them on moon for training purposes so they can understand how low G environment works, awesome. But sending them in a space station which is at 0 G, it's like sending them to International Space Station for training. They can't learn anything useful there. This is inherently bad idea. If all this like I think the budget for this is like $80 billion. If that kind of money is spent on the moon, basically, then we'll have a fuel depot, then we'll have something concrete there, then we can have at least beginnings of a manufacturing industry, because moon has power, infinite amount of power, like relatively infinite amount of power, and you have a lot of materials, you have a lot of aluminum there, you have a lot of oxygen there. Now the only thing that is in short supply is hydrogen. That's why we don't have infinite water there, but we have more than enough oxygen. So we could have done that, but we are doing this gateway, lunar gateway. You can check my full video there, but inherently mathematically this is a bad idea. Like no engineer would say, yeah, this is a good idea. For going to the moon, this is a bad idea. For going to Mars, this is pointless. And people are like, they sold it. Like NASA literally sold this as a refueling station. Where you are gonna put the fuel from it? Like where the fuel is coming? Because fuel either might be coming from lunar surface or Earth. If it's coming from Earth, you are wasting it. If it's coming from moon, why the heck you are like going into orbit? Like just accelerate for full speed away from moon. Don't like, okay, accelerate, decelerate, dock with the station, then it's inherently wasteful. Like if they are saying this could help us communicate, aka satellite, just make a big satellite there. So this is their height of stupidity, this whole project, constellation project. Then even more thing happened just few days ago, as of me making this video, is SLS became another hot topic for some reason, because Trump wants to see NASA put on the moon. Trump is like, okay, Obama's idea was literally weird, and he's like, okay, let's just go to the moon, because at this time, at the Trump administration, China is becoming step by step very close to actually landing on the moon. So they're like, yeah, we don't want another Soviet Union, beating us. So they're like, okay, this is your directive. However, they're unhappy. Why they are unhappy, why this Trump administration is unhappy, is because SLS supposed to have multiple blocks. You can check my video about SLS here. Is that those blocks are very expensive, and the first block, like the first testing round, is behind schedule by 10 years, over budget by a few $1 billion. So at this point, even government is like, dude, like, don't. And SLS is inherently a bad design. Now what I mean by bad design, is the rocket bad? No, the design is bad. Why we built it? We did not build it because engineer got together and designed it. We built it because we had parts laying around from space shuttle era. So that's why SLS is literally space shuttle things. Engine is from space shuttle, fuel tank is from space station, solid boosters are from space station. So this is, many people call it Senate launch system, because Senate wanted to do that, so they didn't have to lose jobs. So inherently it's a bad design. Like, we did not learn something new. We are like, okay, let's put something new, properly designed. So it's a bad design from day one, and it's behind schedule on a level that does not make sense. It should be very quick, because it's inherently doing what we have. Like, the engines that are needed for SLS, they have been in a hangar bay for like freaking 15 years now. They're like, we built the engines is already mass produced. And the fuel tank, we already know how to build it. It's just, we are taking time. We're taking time. So even Trump is like, bro, you can't keep taking time and billions of dollars or whenever you want. So that created a paradox. It's like SLS have what we call Orion module attached to it. That Orion module is the leftover from Constellation project. That is the spacecraft division of it. Basically, you are going to put that spacecraft on top. Now, Orion is kind of heavy, so Alcan Heavy cannot do it. Basically, flat out, it does not have enough power. BFR can do it, but again, BFR is a complete saving. Why would you need a space shuttle with that? So that space division requires SLS. Atlas 5 tested it, basically the capsule, but it cannot put it in what we call lunar injection burn. So that created a paradox. It's like, basically Trump's want man on the moon. Okay, awesome. But the only way NASA can do it is using Orion. The only problem with that, there is no rocket ready to use Orion. At this point, we have a spacecraft, we don't have a rocket. So that created a paradox. So NASA wants to save SLS, because at this point, SLS is becoming so bloated. Like, if NASA cancels it, they are talking about around a $35 billion grand total loss. That's a very big amount of money. And you thought basically James Webb telescope is $10 billion, too big. So NASA wants to save this, because this project is literally carry over from Constellation, and Constellation already wasted $6 billion. So it's piling up way too big. And if they cancel it, the Orion, which is a complete part, will also be wasted. So you can understand, NASA is in a kind of chicken and egg situation. It's like, we want to go to the moon, but we don't have a rocket to go to the moon. So what are we gonna do? So they're stuck. So this is NASA's basically what you call press conference was done for what we call EM1, basically this whole thing. So this EM1 is basically exploration mission number 1. However, it's not manned. Understand this. Many times people are like getting overexcited with this, but this is unmanned. NASA will just go to the moon, just orbit and come back. It will be equivalent to what SpaceX done just recently with their Dragon 2 capsule, is just going unmanned to international and come back. This is the same. Like, of course, we have to do this before we human rate something. So, but this is an unmanned system. Don't get overexcited about this. So this is the paradox right now. NASA had lost completely, like, they had no idea what they wanted to do. They had no goals. I mean, long-term goals, not like, 4 years this president will say something, another 4 years something will say another thing. They no longer have enough smart people there. I don't know, either they all retired or like they lost their interest. It's like they cannot manipulate politics. Politics is manipulating them. So that is a bad idea. Engineer should tell politician what to happen, not politician telling engineer. So this is why we have SLS Debacle. Over expensive rocket, under basically right now, even though it's more powerful than BFR, it's not ready yet. Like, that, as things are progressing, there is literally 90% chance that BFR will be finished before SLS. That should not happen. SLS is behind schedule by 10 years. So that is why NASA is like trying to, like, save SLS project basically. So this was my presentation on is NASA stupid. I'll let you be the judge of that. If you liked this presentation and learned from it and liked it, in that case, please click the ad shown in this video. That will directly help me. If you didn't, don't worry about it. You can press dislike, press it twice to show me your extra disappointment. If you want to comment, please comment, because I reply to all of them. And subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.